Fado to the Portuguese people is like our national soul. But Fado is universal, and the language is not a frontier. You don't have to understand what I'm saying. Because Fados have the power of crossing that frontier and make you feel emotions.
Marisa is one of the young stars of Fado, Portugal's most distinctive music. Music that's dramatic, melancholy, full of longing. The word Fado means fate or destiny, and the music is inextricably linked to the streets of Lisbon. Fado typically speaks of love and longing. It also speaks of Lisbon itself, a city shaped by the sea, fishing, and Portugal's former empire in Africa and Brazil.
I say all the time, yes, Fado is melancholic, but I prefer to call this melancholic happiness a magical melancholic feeling.
The story of Fado begins in the early 19th century. During the Napoleonic Wars, Portugal was invaded by French troops, and the royal family decamped to Brazil for 15 years, moving the capital of the empire to Rio de Janeiro. The roles reversed. Portugal virtually became a colony of Brazil and was open to its influences. These influences are crucial to the history of Fado.
Fado was originally an Afro-Brazilian dance, which was very popular in most of the large cities in Brazil. And we begin to have the first references to Fado being sung in Lisbon around 1830, which coincides more or less with the return of the Portuguese royal family from its exile, with all its retinue, thousands of people accompanying them. And it started in Lisbon in the taverns and in brothels of those poorer neighborhoods of the city. Fado was certainly a slow dance, syncopated, with lyrics that dealt with sentimental topics. And then gradually, that syncopation seems to have been lost, and it seems to have transformed into a song which would keep some steps, but which would become more lyrical and purely musical in nature. Fado was very useful in economic terms because it was an exotic product attracting tourists. And that meant that the original hostility of the regime against Fado was replaced by a manipulation.
The greatest name and personality in the history of Fado was Amália Rodrigues.
She was a very clever person and ambitious. She tried to be surrounded by the most prestigious poets and composers of that time. Amália was, I think, the first Fado singer who really had the vision of crossing frontiers.
These share some of the characteristics that made Amália such an important character in the history of Fado. First of all, she comes from a popular neighborhood where there is a living Fado tradition, and she heard Fado sung around her all her life from a very early age. She is also very concerned about her stage presence. She's very dramatic, very theatrical, in a way that does remind us of Amália also.
When I'm singing about Fado in the 21st century, I'm singing about this new Lisbon. I'm singing about this new generation who I'm part of. I'm singing about love.
São vocês, é preciso